Hi guys, my name is Mina. In this video, you are going to learn how to make this beautiful wrap top I'm putting on. If this sounds like what you're interested in, please stick around. Let's dive straight into the video. The first step is to draw out a starting line. I'll be dressing for the back first, then I'll use it to cut the front. So from the center back, I'll come in by 3 inches, then I'll go down by 1.5 inch for my basic neckline. So I'll go ahead and connect the two dotted lines together with my curve ruler. The next step is to take my shoulder measurement. So from my center back, I'll come in by 7 inches and I'll come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. Okay, so I'll connect it to my neck width, just like so. The next step is to place my tape on my shoulder slope to mark 7.2 inches for my chest line. To achieve your chest line, what you have to do is to divide your bust measurement by 6 and add 1.5 inch to it. So I'll go ahead to rule a straight line across. The next step is to take my shoulder to bust point. My bust point is 10.5, so I'll go ahead and mark it. The next step is to take my shoulder to waistline. The waistline is also going to be the length of my top, so I'll use 18 inches for it. So I'll go ahead and mark the line across, the dotted line across, and I also mark the bust point line across as shown. I'll go ahead and label the lines. That's my chest line, and that's my bust point. Down here is my waist length. The next step is to mark my shoulder measurements on the chest line so I can have a straight line when I'm connecting from my shoulder slope down to my chest line as shown. The next step is to determine the midpoint of my shoulder line. So I'll go ahead and fold my tape as shown to mark the midpoint of my shoulder. Then from that place I marked, I'll come in by ½ inch. Then I'll use my ruler to connect from the ½ inch to my shoulder slope. The next step is to take my bust circumference on my shoulder line. My bust circumference is 8.6. I'll go ahead and mark it. Then I'll use a curve ruler to connect my bust circumference to the ½ inch that I went in by to get my armhole. The next step is to plot my dart. So I'm using my nipple to nipple measurement of 4 inch. I've gone ahead to mark it on the waist length. I'm marking it on the bust point, and I'll also mark it on the chest line. Then I'll use my straight ruler to connect the dotted lines together. So this is going to serve as my dart leg. The next step is to place my tape on the dart line and mark ½ inch on both sides. Then I'll go ahead and connect the lines together as shown. The next step is to take my waist circumference on the waistline. My waist circumference is 6.7, so I'll go ahead and mark it. Then I'll also replace the 1 inch that I took for my darts. You can see, then I'll replace the 1 inch there. I'm not going to add any allowance to this, but when I'm cutting on the fabric, I will add my allowance to it. So on the chest line, I'll go ahead and mark my bust circumference. My bust circumference is 8.6. I'll go ahead and mark it. Then I'll connect it to my waist circumference as shown. You know, the wrap top is an off shoulder, so from my shoulder line, I'll come down by 5 inches. Then I'll use my ruler to mark a straight line across. So this new line is going to serve as my starting line. So I'll go ahead and cut it out. I know you told your friend you're not okay. So guys, I folded my fabric into two. The next step is to place my pattern paper on the fabric and cut it out. Remember, we did not add any allowance to the pattern paper when we were cutting. So I'll be adding ½ inch allowance around the paper. So I added ½ inch to the upper part and also to the side. Note that I did not add any allowance to the armhole curve. So I'll go ahead and cut it out as shown. The next step is to transfer my darts to the fabric. So I'll go ahead and chalk it. Then I'll use my scissors to notch that part. The next step is to give our pattern paper a kind of v-neck effect, so you can use it to cut the front. If I should bring it down to the bust point, it's going to be revealing. So I'm going to stop at the chest line. So I'll go ahead and use my curve ruler to connect it to curve it from the starting point down to the chest line as shown. Then I'll use my scissors to cut it out. I'll go ahead and place it on my fabric. Remember, I placed my fabric on fold, so I'm marking ½ inch round for my seam allowance. So I added ½ inch to the down part, to the side, and also to the upper part, but I did not add any allowance to the armhole curve. So to achieve that wrap effect, I'm going to measure ×2 of this my pattern paper, including the ½ inch allowance that I added to it. So I have like 8.5 here. The 8.5, I'll go ahead and take the same thing from the side front down here. From that 8.5 line, I'll come up by 2.5 inches. You can see. Then I'll go ahead and use my curve ruler to connect from the 2.5 inches to the upper part as shown. So I'll place my curve ruler like so and connect from that 2.5 inches to the upper part. I just hope you guys can see the lines, you can see the way I'm chalking it. So I'll go ahead and cut it out. Felt that way. Guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your... So let me open it up so that you can see that it's beginning to have that wrap effect. So the next step is to cut the sleeve. I've gone ahead to fold this into 4 because I want to cut both sleeves together. So the width, I'm using 14 inches. I'll measure 25 inches for the length, then I'll add extra 1 inch for seam allowance. I'll chalk it across, then I'll go ahead and cut it out. The next step is to use the back to trace the armhole for the sleeve. You can see how I'm placing it. So I'll go ahead and trace it out. So I'll go ahead and open it up as shown. So the next step is to take it to my sewing machine and sew on it, like to fold it like so. On this upper part, you have to fold it in such a way your elastic can pass across. For the back, I'll also take it to my sewing machine and stitch the upper part. I'll equally do the same thing to the front. So here is it guys, I'm done stitching it together. I also went ahead to hold my darts. Okay, you've seen it here. So from the down part of my sleeve, I came up by 9 inches. This strap you are seeing is going to serve as my elastic casing. I went ahead to cut 2 inches on fold. So here is it. This is 1 inch. By the time you open it up, you are going to have like 2 inches. I've gone ahead to iron it. I ironed ½ inch in and ½ inch into the side. You can see how it's looking. So I'll place it on that 9 inches line that I just marked. I'll go ahead and open the strap up as shown. I'll place it on that 9 inches line. You can see. Then I'll use my pin to pin it down. As you fade away. Then I'll take it to my sewing machine and sew on it as shown. Then after sewing on it, I'll flip it over like so and sew the other parts. So here is it guys, I've gone ahead to stitch it down. So this is going to serve as my elastic casing. I'll go ahead and measure the elastic I'll be using for the shoulder. My shoulder is 7. I'll subtract 1 inch from it. So I'll be using 6 inches for my shoulder. For this other part, I'm going to place my tape on where I want it to be. Just like so. So I'll go ahead and measure it round. I have like 9 inches. So I'll go ahead and subtract 1 inch from it. Okay. So I'll be using 8 inches elastic band for it. So I'll go ahead and use my safety pin to pass the elastic. Feel like it's Monday, something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Gotta build up of my thoughts. So after passing the elastic, I'll go ahead and top stitch on it. I'll top stitch on that part and also on the other side. I'll also do the same thing to the shoulder. Then after that, I'll fold it like so and join it together with ½ inch. So here guys, I'll go ahead and join the front and the back top together as shown. We added half-inch seam allowance to this top, so I'm going to place the both together like this, right side facing each other. Then I'll go ahead and mark the half-inch. I'll be shaping it with half-inch.
In an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay?
So I'll take it to my sewing machine and stitch it together. Here is it, guys. I'm done stitching it together. I also went ahead to fold this down part. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is to attach our sleeve. So I'll join the midpoint of the sleeve and the midpoint of this top together. You can see. I'll place it like so. Then I'll use my pin to pin it down. I'll pin it across. I will equally do the same thing to the other side. Then I'll take it to my sewing machine and stitch it round. So we're almost done, guys. I've gone ahead to cut the rope I'll be attaching to the front. So the length of this rope is by 34. Yours can be lesser or more than this. Then I'll take it to my sewing machine and stitch it. This is the final look, guys. If this tutorial was helpful, please consider smashing the subscribe button, like the video, and also leave a comment in the comment section. See you guys in my next video. Bye.